Hello and welcome back to a special episode of the Schooner Pod. My name is Bobby Howard, and today we're joined by Rainey from ChannelTN, a podcast covering the Tennessee Volunteers. Actually appeared on their show yesterday, so y'all definitely need to check that out. Rainey, how's it going?
It's going well, man. Just slowly starting to slip into a state of anxiety as Saturday gets closer. But doing well.
Yeah, that Tuesday that's when it starts to turn a little bit. And by the time Saturday hits, everyone's anxious for sure. So Sooners Vols, this is a series that doesn't have an enormous amount of history. This is only the sixth meeting all time, but it's had a lot of recent history. What's your general impression of Oklahoma, both kind of overall and this year?
We kind of talked about this on our show last night, but it is so hard to get a read of literally any team in college football right now. It's like, I know Mateer was almost basically like the front Heisman runner-up. I mean, not runner-up, but runner, like number one in the Heisman race. And then he messed up his thumb, had to get surgery. You said it was kind of more like of a mental mindset and more than it is his actual thumb. And we'll see Saturday. But overall, looking at Oklahoma, defense is really good, and Tennessee's offense is really good. So this should be a really fun game. I could see it be one of those weird games where it's like high scoring, and because Tennessee's defense is just atrocious, and Oklahoma's offense isn't as great as as it has been with people like Baker Mayfield and those kind of players. But man, this game has me already got me kind of on edge because I have no idea what to expect from this team, your team, and just this. Oklahoma's a big name. Tennessee's a big name. And like you said, we haven't had a history or, a big rival going on here. But the past, Baker Mayfield came in, kneeling and ripped our hearts out. And that was one of the loudest games ever. And it's always fun when you get a team like Oklahoma coming into Knoxville, and a team that you don't see often, but you're going to start seeing them a whole lot more now that we're in the, you're in the SEC. But it's fun when you get to match up with two storied programs like that. And the atmosphere, it just makes for an insane atmosphere. So I cannot freaking wait.
Yeah, without a doubt. It is weird that they just have only, like, before that home and home in the mid 2010s, they'd only met twice, and one of which was OU's first ever bowl game, which Tennessee won 17-0. Shout out to General Robert Nealand on that one. But yeah, I mean, that 2015 game, it certainly, OU fans obviously treasure that one because it was kind of the start of Baker Mayfield. I doubt you've gone back and rewatched this game at times, which I would never touch with a 10.5-foot pole if it was on our end. But listen back to it and hear people kind of, the broadcasters were calling for Trevor Knight at some point to flip in. So crazy comeback. OU fans have a lot of fond memories of that trip, just in terms of how loud it was, how intense it was. And I know for a fact that a lot of people are going to be really pumped to make that return trip for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, it's basically a play in, like, you're basically staying alive for the playoffs. This is a game where both teams have got to win, and whoever loses, you can just kiss your playoff chances goodbye. So it's going to be intense.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I know there are some Oklahoma fans who, they don't want to hear the playoff word at all. They shudder at it. They're like, no. They're closer to dooming, but it is a massive opportunity for OU if they can find a way to win in Neyland. Now, of course, we can't talk about OU and Tennessee and their history without talking about the very interesting dynamic between legendary Sooner quarterback Josh Heupel and also current Tennessee Volunteers head coach Josh Heupel. We all remember all too well last year, Josh Heupel got his revenge in the homecoming game, which happened to be OU's first ever SEC game. What are your thoughts? What's the fan base's vibe on Josh Heupel so far? I know there's some moments, very high on him, and as any major fan base will go, it could get a little low at times. But where are we at on Heupel?
His seat is very cold. There's no one's worried about Heupel. and of course it's year 5, and people can be unrealistic, and you have those craziness, of the fan base, of portions of every fan base are like, fire him now. It's like, dude, he's taken a program that had scholarships just ripped away, an entire team that just left, and in year 1, it looked 1,000 times better than it's looked in the previous 15, and he's continued to progress. And I don't know how in the world on earth he even made the playoff last year with Nico Iamaleava as our quarterback. And that's just a testament to himself of he adjusts and figures out ways to win when he doesn't have a great offense. And so this week he's going to have to adjust and figure out a way to win with a poor defense. But overall, this fan base, I think they're pretty pleased. You can't. I mean, you're about a 10-win team just about every year, it seems like now. But what he took over and what he's done, I mean, you can't be mad. Now, if he continues to do things that he's done, just kind of sprinkled in, if those continue to rear its ugly head, I could see fans starting to get mad. If he loses down the stretch to somebody that he's not supposed to, like if he loses this weekend with dark mode, if he ends up dropping one to Vandy, and Vandy we all know is a pretty daggum good football team, I can see the fan base getting a little ruffled their feathers a little bit. But his seat's ice cold right now. The fan base is, we're all happy, and if you're not, then you're weird. So,
which is fair, I mean, there were years in the Bob Stoops tenure where people were trying to call for his head, and they're like, look, you just went 9-3. What are we doing? So I certainly understand that. And, what Heupel's done, especially this year, with the turmoil of how great he handled the Nico situation, not bowing to that, and, coming out on the other side, a significantly better football team. That to me is a sign of a guy who can really lead a program, through the storm. And, someone, Tennessee fans should be super pumped about. Now I know I definitely have had my comments on Heupel in the past. Definitely will say he is a hell of a head coach, and got to give him a ton of props. I am happy to see him, succeed out in Tennessee for sure.
I do remember last year we got on a podcast together, and you said you are not high on Josh Heupel and you don't trust him. And then they managed to walk into Oklahoma and spank that rear end. So
yeah, that is true. Yeah, that was. There are many moments, having a podcast, where you sort of learn, sometimes you put your foot in your mouth. I didn't expect Tennessee fans to come out and find me 3 weeks, but ahead of a game. But that was how NBA players have the welcome, like rookies have the welcome to the NBA moment. That was my welcome to the SEC moment. Was just a random podcast recapping a bad game against Houston. Me and Ty, getting in an argument about Heupel, which, I will say, in terms of the candidates for if OU were to get a guy, I wonder where. I'm not sure where Heupel would end up on that list. He'd be up there. He wouldn't take the job because of how we handle that situation. I really do believe that. But I will say, year out, probably definitely would rather have Josh Heupel at this exact time. So look, Tennessee Twitter, y'all won that fight big time.
That's good. It would take a lot to lure Josh Heupel out of Knoxville right now. It would take a lot.
Yeah. So. It would take some absurd stuff for sure. And Tennessee, that's a well-backed program that, no doubt in my mind that he's going to have a long tenure there. So let's talk about the game itself a little bit. Let's talk about the Vols. Talked about Joey Aguilar coming in, replacing Nico. I don't even have to say the last name anymore. He's not on the team. Replacing Nico. How has Joey Aguilar changed the Tennessee offense? It looks like it's just humming at just peak ability. We've all seen the jaw-dropping numbers, both on the quarterbacking end, the receiver end. They've just been a well-oiled machine.
He's a veteran. He's played football for a long time, and he's seen a lot of things. And when you are put on a football team that is full of and let me go back just to be at the beginning of the season. The national narrative, national media was just stomping on Tennessee for this whole trade, like the first ever trade in college football. Like let's call it like it is. That's what it was. And the national narrative of how Tennessee is screwed, and Joey's Aguilar coming to Tennessee, he's screwed because he has no weapons on this team. And that's what Nico's camp said. They have no weapons. We need to get out of here. Well, that has been proven wrong because Nico seemed to not, find his weapons and overthrow them almost every single time he threw the ball. Joey Aguilar seems to not have that problem, and he seems to find his receivers at a well-timed manner, which is an odd little thing. It's weird when you get a quarterback that can actually throw the ball to the player's hands. So, and now you're talking about Chris Brazzell. A lot of NFL analysts are talking about, him being number one wide receiver off the board come NFL draft time. And then you have Mike Matthews on the other side. I mean, it's the receiving core is blessed to have Joey. Let's just say that. Because the receiving core wasn't broken. The quarterback was broken. And Joey Aguilar is a damn good football player. He's a football player. He's not a quarterback. He is a quarterback. You get what I'm saying, though. He's a gamer. OU fans don't get mad about this, but he reminds me of Baker Mayfield. In a way, he reminds me of Baker Mayfield. He gets out of trouble, and he makes a play by extending the play, and it's fun to watch because Baker Mayfield made me want to rip my hair out of my head when we were playing him. Made me want to rip my hair right out of my head because the amount of times I screamed, just tackle the guy. And Joey's not as elusive as him, but he can do that one little shoulder shrug and make two players miss, and he steps up in the pocket and launches one. And once you see him launch one, you're like, oh, crap, we're in trouble because it usually hits.
Right. Yeah, that ability to just dodge pressure in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, OU fans, that is something that should give them a little bit of nerves here, because the strength of OU's defense, by far the defensive line, whenever they're able to pressure their quarterback, a high-level quarterback, it changes everything. And if Tennessee and Aguilar are able to kind of get away from pressure, limit sacks, if he's generally a cool customer in the pocket, that's going to spell trouble for OU. His composure, just in general, I think from what I've seen, has just been through the roof.
His composure and awareness is, if you're playing a video game, his awareness is like a 92, 93. And his composure, here's one thing about Joey Aguilar. He's thrown, I think, 6 interceptions all season, which isn't terrible. But when he throws an interception or he makes a mistake, it leaves his brain in a millisecond. He does not think about it. The amount of times that he's come out and fumbled the ball or got hit from behind on the blind side or thrown its ball's been tipped up, thrown an interception. He comes out the next drive and just looks like the first drive of the game. His memory that's what I think is the most impressive thing about him. He forgets in a blink of an eye. It does not affect him. And he will just keep playing and keep playing. And that's really what's impressive about him, is that he can just continue a game and forget about it all.
Wow. Yeah, that's the makings of a true gamer right there. Does he have any downsides? Anything that he needs to work on?
I mean, there's always things that quarterbacks need to work on, but there's not really a massive. He can be a little bit more accurate sometimes, but his accuracy's fine.
Yeah, it's like a nitpick at that point.
Yeah, you're just kind of nitpicking now because it's when you throw the ball like he does, and he throws the ball down the field, and when you throw it like he does, there's going to be an interception here and there, but he's not he'll have a boneheaded play every game. So expect the boneheaded play. But that's what you get when you have a gamer. You have a playmaker. Baker did the same thing. It's just like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then, he's that kind of guy. He's kind of like a Brett Favre-ish kind of person. He takes risks. He's going to take risks. And so far, they've paid off pretty well. But he's also done some risks where it has not paid off, and it's caused an interception or a fumble or something like that. But that's the only thing I can really nitpick at this point through his, first half of this season. He's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, it sounds like he's just like that early version of John Mateer, but he just never took that dip. And wow, yeah, that's gonna be scary for sure. Now, what's the offensive line situation like? I remember last year, a couple Tennessee fans, because whenever you get in a tangle with Vol Twitter, they never really leave, so you always see stuff going on. I have a weird amount of understanding of what's going on with Tennessee. But I remember seeing a lot of complaints about the offensive line a bit last year. Has that kind of rectified a little bit in 2025?
That is one of the most impressive turnarounds I've seen on this team. People talk about the quarterback. People talk about the wide receivers, the running game. Well, that offensive line has turned it completely around. And they protect Joey. And it's also, it's a lot easier to protect a quarterback that you like. And
right,
if you go back and watch games when Joey gets hit, that offensive line is there real quick to pick him up. I mean, they are there to put their hand out. Let's go, get up. Let's go to the next play. Wasn't like that with Nico. It's kind of slower. It's like, yeah, we'll get you. But they run up to Joey, and they really help him get off the ground, dust his head off, and go on to the next play. But last year's offensive line wasn't very good. We have a freshman in David Sanders. I don't know if you've had a chance to see him. Go watch some film with the Kentucky game if you want to watch him pancaking fools all over the place. So he had been hurt the first 4 or 5 games of the season, first 4 games, I believe, of the season. And he just has been inserted to the lineup. And he is another depth piece to that lineup. And he does not look like a freshman. And at times, he'll have freshman mistakes. But overall, does not look like a freshman. That guy looks like just a pancake eating machine. So that is something that has really improved with Tennessee this year, and that is not talked about enough because that offensive line has protected Joey Aguilar at a high rate this season. And of course, every offensive line will give up sacks, but it's not a ton.
Yeah, and that is impressive because I remember the complaints, and it was like I just hadn't seen any of it for a long time. I'm like, oh, maybe they fixed it. Sounds like you did, which that's huge against that OUD line, which I feel like has almost shades of Tennessee's defensive line last year in a way, in terms of the depth, in terms of what you can do there. Maybe not to the same degree because that was a next level D line, but I think that's going to be a really good good on good battle that if Tennessee's O line can hold up, that's going to really cause some issues for the defense because it's kind of a situation where if you're not hitting the quarterback and if you're not causing chaos, if you're not causing sacks, then look, Aguilar is going to have plenty of time in the backfield to really kind of tear you apart. And he has plenty of weapons to do it. Like you said, that wide receiver core is probably the best in the SEC. If there's any debate up for it, I don't know. I don't think there is. Just looking at the numbers, what are some weapons through the wide receiving core that OU fans should really, really look out for?
Okay, so I've already named Chris Brazzell.
Yep.
I've already named Mike Matthews, but sophomore Brandon Staley is an athletic. Let's just put it this way: every one of our wide receivers are lightning fast. They are fast, and I haven't seen this from receiving core at Tennessee in a pretty good minute. Mike Matthews, 5-star wide receiver that came out a couple years ago, committed to Tennessee. He's playing like a 5-star now, especially last game. He's had a bit of the dropsies, little oopsies, but it seems like last game he got right because he went 6 for 6 for over 100 yards. So, and then last game, Chris Brazzell, of course, had him a game over 100 yards and a touchdown. Brandon Staley, same thing, over 100 yards. We had 3 receivers go over 100 yards. So the receiving core is very dangerous, very fast, very skilled, especially Chris Brazzell. Chris Brazzell will make you look silly He does things with the balls in the air. If it's a 50-50 ball, and I don't want to eat my words here, but if it's a 50-50 ball, good luck. He's getting it. So that's one of the things. Ask Georgia about that. Ask Georgia.
And I don't think you will have to eat your words there. Just look up, some film from Cam Coleman, that really solid Auburn receiver. What he did to true freshman Cortland Guillory was pretty rough. And then considering your other, cornerback is Eli Bowen, who's like 5'9". So it's a pretty rough matchup that, OU fans should have circled. The defense is that will be a struggle for OU. And, I would be shocked if Brazel isn't a massive impact player on this game. It feels like one that's, just prime for him to have a good performance.
I watched some of your film this week already, and it seems like y'all play a lot of 3-high safety out there. So that will bring a little bit more trouble with the deep ball. But here's one thing that Tennessee has not had that they have now. Every one of them wide receivers can run routes. They can go underneath. They can go deep. So that's what makes them so scary, is they can do both. And Tennessee hasn't had that. You had Jalen Hyatt a couple years ago that was just the burner. You had Brew McCoy, who was the, throw it to him and just let him try to catch it. Every one of these wide receivers can run the route tree. Every one of them. And that's what makes this offense so scary, is that they have options when it comes to that. So if Oklahoma's playing 3-high safeties, you bet your ass they're going to go underneath, because they can. So, and we haven't even talked about the run game. Three-headed monster back there. That's just why Tennessee's one of the highest scoring offenses in the country, because they can do both, run and pass. And don't forget about Joey Aguilar's legs either. He can run.
Yeah, just talk a little bit about that run game. Obviously, Bishop's really good. You mentioned Aguilar can run. That Chambliss tore up OU quite a bit, especially on, pretty crucial downs. So that's something that the OU defense, I'm personally, pretty nervous about, right there.
You have 3 running backs. You got Sean Bishop, the one that you mentioned. You got Star Thomas, who is he has his moments, man, where it's just whoa. And then Peyton Lewis. Those are all highly touted running backs. Deshaun Bishop was a walk-on, and he's highly touted now because of what he's done. And he's earning every bit of it. He is so hard to bring down. He's so slippery, and he's so quick. And then you have Star Thomas, who will run defenders over. He's quick. He can make a move and get around you. And then you have Peyton Lewis, who's kind of more of a downhill runner with speed. And he's more of like the goal line type back, where inside the 10, he's going to get the ball a lot. So we have speed and power and quickness on all levels of the running back room. It just depends on which one we want to use more in the situational football we play.
Well, that is frightening. So the way I look at the offense after this discussion is that they're dynamic, and I don't see a lot of holes here. So if you're looking for a little optimism as an OU fan, this was not the segment for you. So let's talk about the Tennessee defense and try to brighten some spirits up.
Let's brighten your fan base up right now.
Maybe just a little bit here. So y'all have been pretty frustrated with the Tennessee defense. What's going wrong here?
You mentioned it earlier that your defensive line is a lot like ours of last year, and we lost a lot of that defensive line from last year. We don't have Jermon McCoy, who's a first-round draft pick, and pray to God we have Colton Hood in this game, because I'm hearing that he might not play. We're not sure yet. And if Colton Hood don't play, then, buddy, y'all might have a day on offense. And you talked about yesterday on my show that when I said that Oklahoma was going to score in the 30s in this game, you were like, oh, I don't know about that. Trust me. But also, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. When it's a night game at Neyland and them dark jerseys come on, something happens to this freaking team. Everything, like ask Kentucky a couple years ago, Tennessee had a terrible defense, and then they look like a freaking 85 Bears out there. that night. And I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think you have to worry about that because Tennessee's safeties and DBs, they don't have 2 first rounders basically out there right now. And you have freshman and Ty Redmond out there. Like you have a freshman on yours, we have a freshman on ours. And he got picked on against Georgia. I don't know if you watch that game, but he got picked on big time. And Georgia, and it made Georgia's quarterback look like a freaking Heisman winner. So I fully expect Mateer to come out there and look like freaking Michael Vick mixed with Peyton Manning. So I'm just going to let you know that right there up front. So if Tennessee's offense does at all struggle, it gets in your favor.
Okay. It could be. Well, I certainly would love that hybrid out there for sure. A John Mateer revival in Neyland somehow happening would be incredible and might give a little bit of there might be Baker Mayfield flashbacks on both sides on this game, just given how both of these quarterbacks operate. But I don't know the Tennessee defense. We'll see how bad it is. I feel like we heard a lot of talking points about Ole Miss's defense last week, and they turned out to have a pretty damn good performance. So we'll see how it goes.
I will mention one thing. Tennessee can cause turnovers on their defense. They cause turnovers. But you'll be able to move between the 20s like you're playing backyard football. And Tennessee's one of the worst red zone defenses in the country. So just going to throw that out there.
Well, that kind of reminds me of our old pal Alex Grinch, just in terms of we can't do anything, but sometimes we get turnovers. But which I think is a massive key to this game. One of the things that Mateer has really improved on has been limiting turnovers. He hasn't had one since the Texas game. And in these intense environments, that's what can flip a game. And, I think whatever side wins the turnover battle, I know it sounds so simple and trite, but if Oklahoma can find a way to win it, that's kind of the path to victory. It hasn't happened a ton this year, which is a problem. And the offense hasn't looked great, which is also a problem. It's like the things that Oklahoma needs to do to win this game haven't really popped up yet. And you're expecting them to pop up with, dark mode Neyland Stadium. And that's just kind of a big ask.
Yeah, it's I can't wait for you to see this, and the Oklahoma fans that have yet to be inside Neyland during a night game, and of course any stadium at night in the SEC or pretty much around the country, it's going to be different. But I've been to a lot of night games in the SEC, and I'm not being biased at all here, but this in particular. Neyland at night in dark mode, it's a different animal, and I cannot explain it until you see it because it's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow you away. It's so well done. All the videos and the fireworks and the music. It's going to blow you away. Just the whole setup. And before, I want to ask you this one thing after the game is over. And I want you to pay attention to this as the game is starting. When they line up, whoever's kicking the ball off, I want you to stop and just look around. Because that place is going to be level 1,000. And it's just that one moment. I want to hear from you of when that first kickoff is about to happen, the noise inside that stadium. I want you to hear it. And I want you to get back with me on that because it'll put chills in your body. It'll put chills.
I am beyond looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I've gone all around the country, seen some pretty damn, cool environments, been to the Horseshoe, been to Tiger Stadium. Neyland is an absolute bucket list item for me. And getting the night mode thing, it sounds like it's a whole experience. It's not like they're just tacking on black uniforms and call it a day. It sounds, the way you describe it is almost like everything changes in a way.
You hit the nail on the head right there. Everything changes. It's not a normal game day. It's not a normal tailgate. You'll see that when you come to our tailgate. It's the atmosphere. It's hard to explain unless you witness it happen in front of your own eyes. And it is its own thing. It's its own production. It's its own vibe. It's its own energy. The energy part is what's gonna, I think, make you go wow. There's so much energy just flying through that stadium. It's for the average fan, not an OU fan. If an average fan can just go to a game between two teams that you don't really care about in Tennessee and someone else, go to that one if you're able to ever go to it. Because, like I said, I've been to a lot of games, and that by far is one of the most electrical ones I've ever been to. So you're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, I'm pumped. That type of environment. I love going on the road. I love feeling the chills. I love that kind of vibe of, oh, if we lose this game, I'm gonna catch so much hell from 100,000 people. Like this is gonna be.
Well,
I love the drama. Well, not actually catch hell, but you know what I mean. Like it adds a little risk to it. I like it.
Oh, it does, and it's supposed to be a cool evening with very little chance of rain. Cool breeze in there. It's gonna feel like football, man.
Yeah, and it's also a first night game too. So I know, like from our years in the Big 12, anytime you get a night game after just weeks of 11 a.m. 2:30s, it hits different. So,
it does. It does.
So I want to ask you a couple questions. Kind of things that Sooner fans need to know for game day for Knoxville. Are there any bars or restaurants like OU fans have to try in Knoxville, either the night before or like the day of? Like what's the like culinary vibe like out there?
I'm fairly new to Knoxville. I moved here 2 years ago, so there's been a lot of change going on with restaurants and around town when it comes to that kind of thing. People are going to tell you to go to Calhoun's on the River. I think it's overrated. That's just me. It's a cool experience because it's on the river and it's a fun little place to go. The food's fine. It's just people make it sound like it's the end all be all. I love Downtown Bar and Grill in downtown Knoxville. That's one of my favorite places to go. It's got a cool little vibe in there too. It's got old wooden floors and it's got a huge, massive distillery in the middle of it, and really cool vibe, really cool place. But the thing that you really want to hit up is definitely the tailgates on game day, because they're not in just one part of Knoxville. It's literally everywhere. There's not a place that does not have a tailgate, because a lot of places like Ole Miss, they have the Grove and stuff like that. Tennessee, it's the entire campus. It's everywhere. But we'll be in that old parking garage that everyone talks about on social media and all the famous people go to, and G10. People make fun of it as a parking garage, but it's a vibe, man. You'll see on Saturday. It's a vibe. It's a fun vibe when you go out to the grass and look at the parking garage and you just see endless amounts of people above you. It's a cool vibe, man. And I'm like I said, I'm just super excited for you to experience this game day. This game.
I am so excited.
Yeah.
It's been like I've said, a bucket list item, but hearing about the tailgates and hearing from people who went to Tennessee for that first game in 2015, nothing but nice things about the hospitality, the tailgates, people inviting you over, that sort of stuff. It feels like a proper, like when you think of the best tailgates out there, the SEC, the Southern hospitality, it feels like that Tennessee and Knoxville deliver, and I'm really excited to experience that for sure.
Oh, 100%. And the hospitality is great. I've never met an OU fan that was just an absolute butthole to me. They've all been nice, and a lot of OU fans said the same thing the last time they're here. Like, this is such a good experience. So you'll get those crazies, but overall, it's going to be a good experience.
For sure. Can't wait. Any other like kind of item, like things around campus that you should see? Like, I know there's kind of like a rock situation that y'all paint. Is there any like landmark on campus that OU fans have to check out?
Well, you'll see the Sun Sphere. That's a landmark for Tennessee. The Rock is a landmark for Tennessee, and the biggest landmark is the one that you're going to be in on Saturday night. And that is cool because when you come into Knoxville, depending on which way you come from, and you drive down and you see the stadium for the first time, you're like, oh, wow, that's big. and it still catches me off guard, even though I've seen it a million times. You roll past it, and you're like, wow, that's really big. it's really good. It's really big. And so the Sun Sphere, of course, and then the Rock, and of course the mountains all surrounding everywhere. Like it's a whole vibe in itself, man. So you just get, it's just riding around campus. It's a whole vibe. It's a cool little vibe, and you're gonna have a blast.
Just soak up the whole experience. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds great to me. I'm hyped. Just get me out there already. I wish we should have done this closer to kickoff, because now I don't know how I'm going to live with myself the next couple of days. Yeah, it's going to be too fired up.
It's really exciting and fun. So you should be fired up.
Absolutely, it's going to be fun. All right, Rainey, let the good people know where to find you and Channel TN.
You can find them on pretty much any social media platform. Just type in ChannelTN, as in the abbreviation of Tennessee. It'll pop up. You'll find us. We're very active on Twitter, so you can find us on there. Channel_TN_ on Twitter. But basically, just type in ChannelTN. It'll pop up.
All right, good deal. Thank you for your time today, and previewing the game. You gave your prediction at the end of our show. So I'm just, or our show yesterday, your show. So I'm just going to go ahead and direct people to watch that. There's a lot more in it. It's a lot. I feel like it's a good compliment to this one. We didn't overlap too much, so definitely worth your time. But overall, pretty confident about the Vols. So
38-30 is what I said, I believe.
There you go. All right, good deal. I'll talk a little bit more on Wednesday about my pick, but yeah, tune in to Weekend Spread tomorrow, 8:30. We'll see you then. Have a good one, everyone, and Boomer Sooner.